So this is making the rounds now again. Dr. Carl Hart is a neurosurgeon and he works at Columbia University. He said that he grew up poor and he grew up in a crime-ridden and drug-infested neighborhood. He said he carried a gun, he did drugs, he sold drugs as a young man. Young boy, young man, whatever. He joined the army, and everybody wants to say turned his life around, but that's not really it, is it? It's not that the poor person becomes a neurosurgeon. It's just that Dr. Carl Hart becomes a neurosurgeon. He's the same person that he was when he was dealing drugs or using drugs or carrying a gun, right? There's no difference. The person is the person. What's my point about that? A lot of people say, well, that person turned their life around. No, that person had it in him to be a neurosurgeon from the beginning. Just like the homeless woman who taught her daughter and trained her and homeschooled her so that she went to Harvard Law. Homeless. She and her daughter. It was in her daughter to go to Harvard Law School. It was in the homeless woman to produce a little black girl that's homeless to go to Harvard Law School. Let's move on. So Dr. Carl Hart set about to disprove from the age when he was dealing drugs. This is exactly goes into my point about it was in him from the beginning. Set about getting a neuroscience degree to prove that drug addiction is not the thing that we think it is. And his ultimate conclusion that drug laws and policies simply target black people. Have I not been saying that from the beginning? And I don't have a neuroscience degree. Imagine that. But I'm a good researcher. I have a degree in political science. I know how these things work. I don't need an engineering degree. I don't need a neuroscience degree. I know how politicians work. I know how these groups work. Well, so what did he do to disprove the theory that drug addicts are these fiends that are addicted? Well, the original study to prove that drug addicts were fiends and what have you they tested lab rats, and they put lab rats in cages, and they had a button that the rat could push, and they would be given a hit of a drug, cocaine or methamphetamine, something like that. So the rat would hit the button and keep getting the hit until it died. It would self-medicate until it was dead. 100%, I believe. Well, Dr. Carl Hart looked at the study and found that there was something completely missing in the study. And this is what a lot of politicians used to base their drug policies on and the DEA, forming the DEA. Well, Dr. Carl Hart looked at the study and found one glaring mistake. The lab rats were in a cage. Right? We already said that. They had a button to get drugs. We already said that. There was no other button for anything else in the cage. Bam. There we have it. Glaring mistake. There was no other option in the cage for the rat. A broken clock is right twice a day. So if the rat has nothing else to do, what is it going to do? It's going to hit the button. I mean, it's not that smart of a creature. It's going to hit the button eventually, right? And after a while, it becomes quote unquote addicted and it hits the button more often than not. And it's going to kill itself, right? So he did his experiment offering two other options: a readily available sexual partner as one button or a sweet treat as another button. And when they did that, they found that the rats did not choose the drug button to death. In fact, they were more apt to hit the other two options instead of the drugs altogether. But he didn't settle on that. He kicked it up a notch, right? That's how Emerald says it. Let's kick it up a notch. Bam, right? He tried it on humans. He offered humans crack addicts. You know, he formed a study with all the regulations and jumped through the hoops and all that sort of stuff. Crack addicts who volunteered to come to be a part of the study. And he offered them a $10 hit of crack or a $5 bill. And they chose, again, over 50% of the time to take the $5 bill. Now there's people who say, well, that doesn't mean anything. They could take the $5 bill and go get drugs anyway. First of all, he's offering them $10 worth of drugs versus $5. And then people say, well, you don't even know if it's $10. It might be $5. No, I'm sure they're not going to be offering $2 worth of drugs cut with $8 worth of other crap. They're going to be offering them $10 worth of drugs, right? I'm not a drug addict. I've never done drugs in my entire life, not even once. And I know that there is a market value for drugs, and pure drugs is even more marketable, right? The person could have taken the drugs, split it in two, and then made $20, $30, $50, right? If they knew what they were doing. The point was that they were being offered more value in drugs on the spot, and instead they chose the $5 bill. Options, right? That's what we're talking about. So that disproves two things. There's no such thing as a fiend. And number two, there's no such thing as addiction. Addiction means that you are out of control. A lot of you don't understand that. A lot of people don't understand that. But the whole notion of addiction is that you are out of control. You do not have self-control. You have no reasoning skill when it comes to drugs, right? That's what a crack fiend means. That when you are presented with drugs, that your body and your brain tells you, oh, there's the drugs. I must have it, right? That's what an addict means. He's showing you that that is completely disproven, that they don't have such a reaction, that they go, oh, wait a minute. I have a second option. I have drugs or a $5 bill. Give me the $5 bill. And the people, well, they could go buy drugs. That doesn't matter. They could go buy whatever they want to, but it proves that there is no such thing as an addict. There's no such thing as an out-of-control beast. Wait a minute. We're not done. He said he's kicking it up a notch. He kicked it up even further. Next, he took methamphetamine addicts. Same experiment, same result. Over 50% chose the $5 bill. But he's not done yet. He kicked it up another notch. $20. Now, when he offered 20-something dollars, $25, $30, $40 worth of drugs versus a $20 bill, it dropped to 10% choosing the drug. Now, how's that for proving? Huh? I'm assuming that a $30 hit of whatever, and it's not a hit at that point. At that point, I think you're actually just dealing drugs and you're giving somebody enough drugs to go deal themselves, right? I don't know anything about drugs, but $30 worth of drugs, if you can buy a hit for $5, right? Or $10 or whatever, right? $30 must mean that you're setting up potential drug dealers. And instead of taking that, no, go back. We're talking about crack addicts, meth addicts. The whole notion is that they are addicts. You're offering them $30, $40, $50 worth of drugs, and instead of taking that, they instead take the $20 bill, and only 10% of them opted to take the drugs instead. Now, that disproves the entire addiction thing altogether. An addicted person, in our mind, what we've been told, what we've been trained by the media, politicians, movies, is that these people are so out of control that they would not be able to resist. They do not have the mental capability to form a reasonable opinion about doing anything other than taking the drugs. And here they are offering them enough drugs to probably keep them nice and high for a week, a month. I don't know how long. I don't know anything about drugs. To keep them high for more than one day, right? And instead, overwhelmingly chose the $20 bill. Now that he's proven that, he comes to his ultimate conclusion. And this is why I said it doesn't take neuroscience for me to figure this out. He said crack cocaine laws give you 10 times the arrest rate, 100 times the punishment for simple crack cocaine possession. This we're talking about the people who do the drugs themselves, simply having it. The overwhelming majority of people who do crack cocaine is allegedly black people, and the overwhelming majority of people who do powder cocaine are white people, right? So the poor black person, first of all, goes to jail, and then he goes to jail 100 times longer than a richer white person who's arrested and actually makes it all the way into jail. And I emphasize makes it all the way into jail because they don't make it all the way into jail more often than not. He also said in his study that the overwhelming majority of drug users are, of course, white. The overwhelming majority of crack cocaine users are white. The overwhelming majority of methamphetamine users are white. The overwhelming majority of powder cocaine users are white. There are not enough black people in the United States to even compare to 60% of the population. We are very damn near close to 10% of the population. Yet, we are being thrown in jail as if we were the 60% of the population. He went even further to do research on Portugal, Spain, Holland, those states. We're calling them nation states, nation states that have completely decriminalized drug use. All drugs. That's heroin, cocaine, crack, whatever. Marijuana, everything. Completely decriminalize it. Crime went down. Drug use went down. The stigma of being a quote unquote drug user evaporated because use is not frowned upon. You are then offered help if there's any problem with it. Oh, you use drugs? Is your job suffering? No? Okay, then you're fine. Is your job suffering? Yes? Okay, then let's get some help for you so that you can become a productive citizen and pay taxes, right? But here's another staggering finding in his studies. The overwhelming majority of drug users are white, male, job-holding Americans. Suit, tie, button-down shirt, suit coat. Overwhelming majority. Yet the drug war, or the war on drugs, has black men sitting in prison. Damn near 10% of the population is targeted, incarcerated for drug use. Yet the other 60% of the population doesn't even make it into jail. And I'm not talking about poor white people go to jail, poor white drug. No. They don't even come into the calculation either. Poor white drug users are not targeted, and they don't even come into the calculation. Did you hear what I said? The overwhelming majority of drug users are white, male, job-holding, middle and upper class men, Americans. That means, by definition, poor white boys, not a part of that equation whatsoever. Not even in it. If you happen to be a poor white boy and you get arrested and go to jail, that's a fluke. And even so, I've already done studies to show you that even the poor white boys who are arrested don't even end up in jail. I've already done videos about that. So don't give me this crap about, will they target poor white people too? No, not in this case, not for drugs. Poor white boys get lawyers. Their entire family get lawyers. They don't end up in jail for drug possession. Do you know what white boys end up in jail for? You ready? Murder, kidnapping, rape, spousal abuse, dangerous crimes. 75% of the black men in jail are there for simple marijuana. We're not even getting into crack. Simple marijuana possession. That means they are sitting in jail for pot possession that they're going to smoke. And they are sentenced to years in jail for it. That's just marijuana. I don't even know the statistic for crack cocaine possession. But if 75% are already sitting in there for simple marijuana possession, I imagine maybe 10% are there, 10, 15% are there for maybe crack possession. The whole notion that black people are so dangerous is completely evaporated when you actually look at the statistics of why black men are in jail versus why white men are in jail. White men are in jail because they are criminals. And I don't mean like, oh, they did something illegal. I mean something like they did something dangerous that society wants them away from them. You don't throw white people in jail for illegal stuff. You throw white people in jail because you don't want those bastards walking around your neighborhood. And a pothead is not considered somebody you don't want walking around your neighborhood. That's just somebody you scoff at. But black men are in jail for being potheads. And according to Dr. Carl Hart, apparently black men are in jail for crack cocaine possession. Possession. Not distribution, not dealing, not selling, not importing, not exporting. Possession. I invite Dr. Carl Hart to contact me. I would love to talk to him. I said I would like to do an experiment to kick his experiment up even another notch. And that is, I want to pick a all black community, poor, poverty-stricken, drug-infested, crime-infested, and I want to post a sign in every yard that says, if you want a hit of drugs, or to rob someone or to rob this house, contact Boundless Enterprises Incorporated, and we will instead pay you $50 and serve you a 2-star meal. And I will leave a number for Boundless Enterprise to be contacted with. They call the number. It's an international operator that gives them a serial number and directions of where to go. And they would go and get a meal and $50. That's in the future, of course, but I want to conduct that experiment. And I said, I guarantee you within a year, the entire neighborhood would be drug and crime free. I guarantee even the drug dealers would stop dealing. And instead, they would come take the meal and the $50. If every time they got the urge and they got that, I guarantee you, first of all, throwing $50 around a poor neighborhood once a day, that you could go somewhere and I'm not talking about 8 hours. I'm talking about you sit down, have a meal and get $50 and that's it. The rest of the day is yours. First of all, you would be able to pay your rent. within a week, right? A few days, a couple of days. So rent would be covered, right? All your other food would be covered. You wouldn't even be on welfare anymore. You wouldn't be on welfare. You wouldn't be on food stamps anymore. And I don't care how many kids you have, the kids could come eat free also. You wouldn't have any crime in the neighborhood. It's the same exact thing that the Federal Reserve does for the Wall Street banks. I already know people are thinking in their head, well, that's just welfare. You're just going to be giving out. Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's a subsidy to the people, to people in that black community. If you gave them money to the point where money doesn't mean anything anymore, you would get rid of crime. Crime would be erased. Now, Dr. Hart says gainful employment evaporates crime. Gainful employment evaporates drug use. These are his findings. I already made videos about this a year ago and even 2 years ago. You don't have to have all these other programs, all these word programs. You don't have to have a militarized police department. Why do they have a militarized police department? To kill Americans. That's the only reason. They're not seeking to police the United States. They're not seeking to police. Police means to, draw a box, draw an invisible box. And if anybody steps out of the box, they say, hey, hold on now, you're out of the box. And the person is supposed to say, oh, I'm out the box. Oh, okay, sorry about that. It's not a case of, you're out of the box, let me shoot you. You're out of the box, let me murder an entire neighborhood. This neighborhood is out of the box, so we're going to go in and burn down buildings. Policing is not the word that or it's not what is being used today. This is an attack, right? I showed you pictures of the tank in the neighborhood, in the middle class neighborhood. I'm not talking about a poor neighborhood, a middle class neighborhood. Tank. Armored vehicle. Armor plated policemen walking around in armor plated vest and looking like mech warriors. That's what's going on now. My experiment would show you that in a year, that entire neighborhood. And let's kick it up a notch even more. If I really wanted to do the experiment, I would then buy up all of the commercial property and give out free loans, 0% interest loans to anybody in that neighborhood who wanted to open up a store in that neighborhood to start a business in that neighborhood. In 5 years, that'd be the richest neighborhood in the city, right? Yes, it would. And I guarantee, and I said, after saying this, I wrote this on Dr. Hart's page, sorry. I said, and I guarantee you, within a week, the police, the city, the federal government would shut the program down. I guarantee you. They couldn't tolerate that. That I could go in and erase crime in an area, erase it, vanish, no drugs, no crime. And I guarantee you, if I had the money and capability and the means to do it, I can get the overseas. I can do almost everything except hand out the $50 every time somebody walked in through the door. I already know how to get the international operator. I already know how to set up the buildings. I have all that. I already have contacts for all of that. I work quietly and in the shadows. I'm a Capricorn. I already have all of that set up. I don't have the capability of handing out $50 anytime somebody walked through the door. I could almost do this program today, the experiment today. I just don't have the very last thing. And I don't know if I would need any regulations for it because I'm not selling anything. I'm giving stuff away. I don't know if I need anything for that. But I guarantee you, if I did it, the neighborhood that I chose would be crime-free, drug-free, welfare-free, food stamp-free. And in a year, it would be rich. If I could hand out the loans, 0% interest loans, they would be rich and prosperous within 2 years, 2 to 5 years. They'd be the richest neighborhood in the entire city. Tell me what you think about this, and tell me what you think about Dr. Hart's experiment and his finding that black people are being targeted by the quote unquote man. Thank you for watching the Shakaama Live Show.